The girl in the cage, she opened her eyes. Darkness was all around her. She was lying on something cold. The floor was hard like metal. Her body was weak. She tried to move, but her hands did not listen. Her legs felt heavy. She did not know where she was. She did not know who she was. There was no name in her mind, no memory, no voice inside her. She looked around slowly. She was inside a cage. Clear walls like glass, bright lights above her, machines around her, strange screens, strange sounds, no window. No door, only walls, only silence. She touched her skin. It was bare. She had no clothes, only a small thin cloth on her body. She felt cold. She felt scared. She wanted to scream, but no voice came out. Her throat was dry. She sat up with pain, and then she saw the camera, a black eye watching her, always watching. She looked at it. It blinked red. She looked away. She hugged herself. Tears came to her eyes. She wiped them. She did not understand why she was crying. She did not know what sadness meant, but she felt it deep inside. Something was broken, or maybe it was always empty. Then she heard footsteps. She froze. Heavy boots, slow steps, getting closer. The sound echoed in the hallway. She moved back into the corner of the cage. She held her knees. She waited. The door outside opened. Bright light hit her eyes. She blinked. A shadow walked in. Not an alien, not like the others. It was a human, a man. Wearing a suit, black clothes, strong face, but soft eyes. He stopped in front of the cage. He looked at her. She looked at him. No words, only silence. He stepped closer. She moved back. He raised his hands slowly. No weapon, no threat. Just open hands, like he was saying, "I will not hurt you." He knelt down, face close to the glass. His eyes were full of shock, full of pain, like he saw something he did not believe, like he saw a ghost, or maybe something worse. He whispered something. She did not understand. His voice was low, soft, gentle. He took out a small bottle of water. He placed it on the side panel of the cage. She did not move. He pointed to it. She crawled forward, slow, scared. She touched the bottle. She opened it. The smell was clean. She drank it fast, like she was thirsty for days. The man smiled just a little. He looked around, then back at her. He wiped a tear from his eye. She watched him, confused. Why was he crying? She was the one in the cage. She was the one with no name. He took something from his pocket. A small chip. He slid it through a gap in the cage floor. She looked at it. It was shiny blue light. She picked it up. She held it tight. She did not know what it was, but she knew it was important. The man stood up. He looked at the camera. He looked back at her. He gave one slow nod. Then he walked away. Door closed behind him. The light went dark. Again she sat in the cage, chip in her hand, water by her side. Mind full of questions. Who was he? Why did he help? Why did he care? She looked up at the ceiling. She touched her face. More tears. She did not know why, but something inside her was waking up. Something human. Something strong, something forgotten far above. In a control room, two alien voices spoke language unknown, but their eyes watched her. One said, "Subject is active." The other said, "Begin phase 2. The human who cared. Night came, but it did not feel like night. There was no moon, no sky, only metal walls, cold air, and the sound of machines breathing through vents. She sat in her cage, still holding this small chip. The lights above her blinked slowly, red, then white, then red again. Time moved, but she could not tell how much. She did not sleep. She just stared. The door opened again. Not loud, not rushed, careful, quiet. It was him again, the human with soft eyes. She moved back in fear, but he stopped before the glass. He placed both hands on it. His eyes searched her face. He looked tired, but not angry, not like the others who walked these halls. He pulled something from a bag, a cloth, plain and white. He opened the small side hatch. The same way he gave her water, he placed the cloth inside. She watched him. He said something in low voice. Maybe he said cold. Maybe he said sorry. She could not tell, but his voice was soft. It felt warm, like memory she never had. She touched the cloth. It felt soft, warmer than metal. She wrapped it around her. She looked at him. He smiled. but there was sadness in his eyes. He sat down right there outside the cage. Back against the wall, he placed something else on the floor. A box with food steam came out. He opened it, let the smell reach her, then pushed it forward, not forcing, just offering. She crawled closer. Her hands shook. She took the box. It smelled strange, but not bad. She ate slow at first, then fast. She looked at him. His eyes were full of questions, but he said nothing. She wanted to ask him who she was, but she had no words, only eyes, only silence. Then he did something new. He pulled a small device from his bag, pressed a button. A screen lit up. A small figure appeared, a girl, laughing, running in grass. The human showed her. His hand pointed, then touched his chest. Maybe he was saying daughter, maybe sister. She did not know, but the love in his eyes was clear, and the pain too. He turned the screen off, slid the device back into his bag. He looked at her again, then took out a paper and a pen. He wrote something, turned the page to show her one word, hope. He pointed to her, then to the word. She stared. She did not understand fully, but she felt something warm, deep, breaking inside her. Cold silence. The camera blinked red again. He looked up at it, then stood quickly. His face changed harder now. He said something fast. His hands moved. He pointed at her cage, then at himself, then pressed 2 fingers to his lips and touched the glass. He turned to leave. She stood. Her hand touched the same place on the glass, but he was gone. She sat back, cloth around her shoulders, food beside her, chip hidden in her hand. The words still in her mind, hope. She repeated it inside. Again and again. She looked at the wall, still metal, still cold, still silent. But something was changing, not outside, inside, far away. Down a long metal hallway, the human walked fast. He turned corners, past other aliens. None of them looked at him. He reached a locked door, entered a code door, slid open. Inside was a dark room full of files, screens, old tech. He opened one file. It had a photo, her face, eyes wide, no name, only a number below it, alien symbols, and one word in human language, asset. He stared at it, hands shaking. He found more files, more pages, test results. Energy spikes, brain scans, pain levels, fear reactions. It was all written like she was not real, like she was only a tool, a project, not a person. He looked away, closed his eyes, took a deep breath. Then he picked a chip, same as the one he gave her. Scanned it. It showed a map, escape route, hidden tunnel code to shut down alarms. Only once, only 5 minutes. He closed everything, deleted the files, smashed the scanner and walked out fast without looking back. Inside her cage, she pressed her hand to the chip. It glowed blue, only for a second. She felt her heart beat faster. Something was coming. She did not know what, but it was close. She looked at the camera. It still blinked red, but she did not feel fear. She felt something new, not hope, not yet, but maybe the start of it. Escape begins. A sharp sound echoed in the silence. A soft click under the floor. Her eyes opened wide. She was still sitting, still inside the cage, still wrapped in the white cloth, but something was different now. The chip in her hand had stopped glowing. She had pressed it without thinking, and now the cage was no longer humming. The glass did not shine anymore. The metal walls felt still. No red lights, no camera movement, only silence and her breathing. She stood slowly, her legs weak, her heart fast. She touched the glass. It felt warm. Then it moved just a little. She pushed harder. It slid open, a narrow gap, enough for her to step out. Her bare feet touched the cold floor. It was real. It was happening. She was no longer locked, no longer trapped like an animal. The hallway outside was dark. The lights were low. She looked left. She looked right. No footsteps, no voices. She stepped out. Alarms did not sound, yet the air felt heavy, like something was waiting. She moved fast, body still shaking, but she kept going. The white cloth dragged behind her. She held it tight. Her hand gripped the chip. It had changed everything. She turned a corner, more glass cages, empty, or maybe full. She did not look. She could not. She had to keep moving. Her ears searched for sound. Her eyes looked for light. Then a door appeared, big, steel, locked with a panel. She stopped. Her hands touched the panel. It beeped once. Red light blinked. She placed the chip near it. Blue light flashed. The door slid open, cold wind hit her face. She covered her eyes, then opened them again. A wide tunnel, dark and quiet, pipes on both sides. Steam rising from broken vents. She entered it. The door closed behind her. She was alone, but free. The tunnel floor was wet. She slipped once. Her hand scraped against metal, but she kept going. No time to stop, no time to cry. Not now. Then she heard footsteps. Fast and heavy, not hers, not alone. Someone was coming. She turned to run, but a voice called her name. She stopped. But she had no name. She turned around. It was him. The human, his face full of panic, but also relief. He reached her, grabbed her hand, not rough, not hard, just enough to say, "Come with me." She followed. They ran together, through the tunnel, no words, only breath, only speed. They reached a ladder. He climbed first. She followed, up, up, up. The hatch opened. He pulled her out. They were inside a room, empty, old dust on the floor, broken lights. He closed the hatch, locked it again, then turned to her. He knelt down, checked her hands, looked at her feet. He spoke. She could not understand, but his voice was warm again. She looked into his eyes. She wanted to ask, "Why did you help me?" But no voice came. He stood up, pulled something from a bag, shoes, simple, soft. He helped her wear them. She had never worn shoes, but it felt right. Then a noise came far behind them, sirens. At last the system had noticed. She was missing. She was gone, and now they were hunting. He looked at her, pointed to the door. She nodded. They moved again outside the door. A long hallway, no cameras, only shadows. He knew the way. He was not guessing. He had done this before, planned it, risked it. They reached another door. He stopped, pulled a card, opened it. Behind the door, a small room with screens, old wires, a chair and a box. He opened the box. Inside, clothes, simple but warm. He gave them to her. She changed quickly. He turned around, gave her space. Now she was not just a number, not just skin and fear. She looked human again, and when he turned back, he smiled. He pressed a button on the wall. A map lit up. He showed her, pointed to red dots, guards, patrols, then pointed to a green line, the way out. They would need 10 minutes, maybe less if lucky. Then his face changed. He touched his ear. Someone was talking to him. He shook his head. His voice rose angry. He ended the call. He looked at her, eyes serious now. He said one word, "Run." They opened the last door and stepped into light, real light, sky above. But not Earth sky. It was orange and the wind was loud. She looked up, her eyes wide. She was outside, really outside. But behind her, the sound of boots. They were not safe yet. They had to move. She held his hand, strong now, brave now, and they ran together. World outside, the sky above her was burning, not with fire, but with color, orange clouds, red light. Strange moons hanging low. She had never seen sky before, not in memory, not in dream. And it was nothing like she imagined. The wind touched her skin. It did not feel warm. It did not feel cold. It just felt alive, like the sky itself was breathing, moving, watching. She stood still for a moment, breathing slowly, her eyes wide, her hands gripping his tightly. The human looked at her, then looked back toward the door. Voices behind them, far, but coming closer. He pulled her again, down the metal steps. They ran through tall grass, green but glowing blue under the strange light. Every step was heavy, every breath a battle. But they did not stop. She turned her head once. The building behind them was giant, gray walls, towers like teeth. It looked like a prison. But worse, it looked like a place made to erase life, not just trap it. They reached a hill. At the top was a small transport, old, covered in dirt, half buried. He opened the hatch, pulled her inside, closed it fast. Darkness came, but she was not afraid. Humans started pressing buttons. Lights blinked. The engine coughed, then hummed low. He looked at her, gave a quick nod. They were not safe, but they had a chance now. The vehicle lifted, slowly shaking, floating above the ground. He steered it into the wind. The grass below bent and danced. The bass grew smaller behind them, but the sound of sirens still chased them. They had little time. She sat beside him, hands on her lap, her heart beating wild, her eyes still staring at the window. The outside world was not like any world she imagined. No cities, no roads, no trees. Just strange rocks, glowing rivers, mountains shaped like blades. Then she saw creatures tall and thin, walking on four legs, glowing eyes. They watched the craft move, but did not follow, just watched silent, unblinking. Human looked worried. He checked a small screen, red dots again, moving fast, closer to. Close. He changed direction. The vehicle turned sharply. She held onto the seat. Her body slammed to the side. But she did not cry. She did not scream. She just watched him. He spoke again. Fast words, urgent voice. She could not understand, but she could feel it. Danger was still with them. Freedom was still far. A red light flashed. He hit the panel. The vehicle dropped, fell fast, then stopped, hidden behind a cliff, silent again. He turned to her, put a finger to his lips. Stay quiet. She nodded. Outside. Sound of engines, flying machines passed overhead. They were looking. They were hunting, but they did not find. She looked at him. He leaned back, closed his eyes, breath deep, then opened a small box near his seat. Inside, more tools, a small scanner. He pressed it to her arm. It beeped once. He stared at the screen. His face froze. He turned it to her. A strange symbol, then one word, not alien, not human, hybrid. She did not understand, but she saw his face, and she knew it was important. He reached for her hand, placed the scanner inside, closed her fingers around it. You need to see, that is what his eyes said. He stood, opened the hatch again. Bright light poured in. The cliff blocked the wind, but not the tension. He pointed toward a cave, hidden in rocks. Not far, but not safe either. They stepped out, moved fast, not running, not slow. The ground was sharp. Her feet ached, but she did not fall. Inside the cave, it was cold, wet stone. Darkness again. He lit a small light, placed it on the wall, then sat down, pulled a folded cloth from his coat, laid it on the ground, told her to sit. She did. For a long time they said nothing, only silence, only breathing. Then he took out a small recorder, pressed play. A voice spoke, female, soft, human. She said a name, not hers, but familiar. Then she said she was part of a program, a child born in a lab, mixed in a human and something else, meant to be stronger, faster, meant to serve. The voice paused, then said, you are not a weapon, you are a miracle. The recording ended. She looked at him. He looked back, not with fear, not with pity, but something deeper, belief. She did not speak. She just leaned forward, placed her hand on his, and for the first time smiled. The truth revealed. The cave was silent. Only the sound of wind outside, only the slow beat of her heart inside her chest. The small light flickered on the wall. It made shadows dance across the rock. She sat still, wrapped in cloth, wrapped in thoughts she could not explain. He was still watching her, the human who helped her, the one who gave her food, clothes, shelter. But now he had given something more. A message, a voice from the past, a voice that knew who she was, and maybe what she was. The word hybrid still echoed in her head. She did not know what it meant, but it felt heavy. It felt like a chain around her name. Even if she still had no name, it felt real. She held the scanner in her hand. Its light was soft now. Its screen dark, but it had already told the truth. She was not born. She was made. He knelt beside her, placed a hand on the ground, his eyes serious. His mouth moved slowly. He spoke each word with care. He said she was not a monster, not a mistake, not a weapon. She looked at his hand. It was rough, warm, strong, human. Then she looked at hers, smaller, smoother, but different. Her skin glowed faintly in the light, a shimmer like stardust under the surface. He took out a second file, folded papers, faded photos. He placed them in front of her. She looked down. There were images, lab machines, a tank filled with blue liquid. Inside it, a shape, a child alone. More pages, charts, words she did not understand. But one word came again and again, Seraphim. She pointed to it. He nodded slowly. Then he wrote it on the floor with a stone. SERAPH. He said it aloud, his voice soft. Then he pointed at her. She did not understand, but deep inside a feeling rose. She had heard that word before, maybe not with her ears, but in her dreams, in the dark between memories. The cave grew colder. She pulled the cloth tighter, but her body felt warm from within, a strange warmth like power waiting to wake. He pulled another paper. This one had symbols, alien writing. He placed it next to the human words. Side by side she stared at both. Something clicked in her mind. Images flashed behind her. Eyes, needles, machines, wires on skin. Screams not from her mouth, but inside her head a voice counting backwards, a hand pushing her down. A cage closing. She closed her eyes. Her breath quickened. He moved closer. He held her shoulders gently, said something. Again slow calm. She opened her eyes. Tears ran down her face. She did not understand everything, but she understood enough. She was not just someone who escaped. She was the experiment. She was the result. She was Seraphim, and they had made her for war. The human opened his bag, took out a small mirror. He handed it to her. She looked at her face, really looked, not scared, not hidden. Her eyes were bright, glowing slightly. Her skin still shimmered, her hair soft and wild. She was not normal, she was not weak. She stared for a long time, then placed the mirror down. Her hand touched her chest, felt her heartbeat, slow and steady. She looked at him again, this time not with fear, this time with strength. He smiled, not because he was happy, but because he saw her change. He saw the fire grow inside her. Then the silence broke, a sharp sound from outside. Not wind, not nature machines. He stood, moved to the cave entrance, peered through the cracks. 3 black crafts in the sky, searching, scanning. He stepped back, fast grabbed. His pack started collecting things. He motioned her to stand. She did, without question, without hesitation. He handed her a small device. Square metal-y button in the center. He pointed to it, then pointed to his own chest. If separated. Press this. She nodded. Took the device, strapped it to her arm. They left the cave. Careful steps, no sound, only the wind to hide them. Behind them, the truth waited in the dark. But ahead the future waited in light. And for the first time she walked not as a prisoner, not as an experiment, but as someone becoming whole, not human, not alien, something new, something that was never meant to survive, but now could change everything. Her power awakens. The air outside the cave was sharp, not cold, not hot, just full of sound, full of tension, full of questions she could not ask. She walked behind him, her feet light, but her steps strong. She did not look back. There was nothing behind her worth holding. The human moved fast, but his pace matched hers. He never left her behind, not in the tunnels, not in the shadows, not in the silence. The world around them was strange, tall plants that moved without wind, rocks that hummed low. Even the sky seemed alive. It was always changing, always watching. She saw her reflection in a pool, not water, but some kind of liquid glass. Her face, her eyes, her skin glowing again, brighter now. She touched the surface. It rippled, turned silver, then showed something else. Not her face, but a memory, a room, bright lights, screams, pain. She pulled her hand away. The pool turned black. She stepped back. He caught her hand, held it tight. She looked at him. He nodded once. No words needed. They kept moving. He led her to a small camp, hidden under roots of a twisted tree. Old wires, half-dead machines, but quiet, safe. For now. He opened a panel, tried to start a screen. It blinked, struggled, then turned on. He showed her a map, red lines, moving shapes, all heading toward one place. Her heart sank. The cave. They had found it. They were tracking her, not just with machines, with something more. She touched her skin. It felt warmer. A pulse under the surface, like energy, like fire waking up. She asked with her eyes, "What is happening to me?" He answered by showing a file, old, torn inside, notes written by hand, drawings, charts. Her face again, younger, eyes closed. Floating in a tank. She turned away. She did not want to see more, but something inside her did, something needed the truth. He walked outside, left her alone. She sat down, hands on her knees, breathing slow, trying to feel like herself. But what was self? What was real? What was machine? What was memory? The ground shook slightly. She looked around. Nothing moved, but she felt it inside, like her blood was heavier, like her breath had weight. Then the air shifted. The small lights in the camp flickered, a metal can rolled by itself. The wires sparked, and then she saw their fingers were glowing, not just the skin, but deeper light coming from inside the bones, blue-white, then gold. She gasped, stood up fast, her body felt light, too light, like gravity had forgotten her. She reached toward the panel, it burst with light, sparks flew. She stepped back, afraid, confused, shaking. He ran in, saw the sparks, saw her hand stopped in place, his eyes wide, but not in fear. He whispered something, then stepped forward. Slowly he reached out. She pulled her hands back. He shook his head, moved closer. He touched her wrist. His hand did not burn. She did not hurt him. The light faded, her body calmed, but her heart raced. He sat her down, wrote something on the ground. 3 words, "You are changing." She nodded. She felt it too. Her skin felt stronger, her mind clearer, sounds sharper, like she could hear the tree breathing. He handed her a small stone, smooth, cold, told her to close her eyes. She did. He said to breathe, feel, not think. Let the power speak. She held the stone, listened to silence, then saw light again, not outside, but inside her mind. A door opened. Energy flowed through her chest, through her arms, through her fingers. The stone melted, not from heat, from her touch, turned to dust in her hand. She opened her eyes. He was smiling. Then a loud sound came, not thunder, engines, machines. In the sky, flying low, too low. They ran outside, looked up, black crafts above, spotlights scanning. They had arrived. He turned to her, ready to run, but she stepped forward toward the light, not away from. I've called out, tried to stop her, but she raised her hand. The light from her palm shot upward, pure white. It hit the craft. It froze, fell sideways, crashed behind the hill. She stood still, eyes glowing, chest rising slow. He looked at her, no words, just awe. She turned to him. She was not the same girl in the cage, not anymore. She was Seraphim, and she had awakened. The final stand. The fire behind the hill still burned. Smoke rose high into the strange sky. Orange clouds turned dark. The wind carried ash across the valley, but she did not move. She stood at the edge of the rock, her hand still glowing faint, her eyes fixed on the smoke, her breath steady, her heart quiet. He walked beside her, looked at the fallen craft, then looked at her. There was fear in his eyes, not of her, but of what was coming. Next, they both knew this was not over. They had seen the files, they had read the notes. She was not the only one. She was the first, but not the last. Behind every cage was another version, another experiment, another plan. She turned away from the fire, faced the mountain ahead. Beyond it was the main facility, the core, where they created her, where they tried to control her, where they would try again. He opened his pack, took out a device, a tracker. It blinked red, a signal coming from the mountain. He pointed to it, then to her, then back to the valley. She nodded. She understood. She had to go back, not to hide, not to run, to finish it. They walked together, no words, only wind, only the sound of broken branches under their feet. Hours passed. The sun never moved. This world did not follow time like Earth. It only followed will, only power. As they reached the ridge, she stopped, closed her eyes. She could feel the place, feel the energy, feel the pain still alive in the ground. She opened her eyes. The building was tall, sharp edges, cold metal, no windows, no light. It looked like it did not belong to any world. He looked at her, asked with his eyes, "Are you sure?" She nodded once, took off the cloth around her shoulders, let it fall. She no longer needed to hide. She walked toward the gate. It opened without touch. It remembered her. It welcomed her back like property inside. Dark halls, old voices in the walls, echoes of commands, experiments, numbers. She kept walking. He followed close. He carried the last tool, a core disruptor. One charge, one chance. Guards appeared, not human, not alien, something in between, like her, but broken, still chained. She raised her hand. Energy swirled in the air. The ground shook. The lights blinked. They attacked. She stepped forward, not fast, not angry, just clear. Her power struck without sound. They fell like ash. Their chains cracked, their bodies faded. She walked past them. They did not rise again. The core room waited at the center. It pulsed with red light, alive, hungry. Wires wrapped the Walls like vein screens showed her face again, and again Subject 0 Seraphim 1. She stepped inside. He followed, his hands shaking. He placed the device near the heart of the core. The timer started 5 minutes. The voice of the machine spoke in a language she somehow understood. Return to control, return to purpose, return to order. She looked at the wires, looked at the place she once called cage. She raised both hands, energy flowed out, bright, wild, free. The machine screamed, alarms blared, walls cracked, the ceiling shook. He shouted her name, not her number, not her title, a name only he gave her. She turned to him, smiled once, then ran to the center. She touched the core. It screamed louder, it burned bright. The room exploded in color, red, white, blue. Everything shook. Time seemed to stop. Then silence, only wind again. He woke outside, dust in the air. The building behind him gone. Not broken, erased, no fire, no metal, only peace. He looked around, called her name again. No answer, but something moved in the sky, a soft light falling slow like a feather made of stars. It touched the ground, became a shape, a girl glowing like sunrise. She walked to him. Not tired, not broken, she smiled. He smiled back. They stood under the strange sky, no longer afraid. She was not a weapon, not a number, not an experiment. She was Seraphim, and she was finally free.